Grand Rising, all kings and queens, all gods and goddesses, all beautiful people. I am the Floss to God, and this morning I just want to speak briefly about how to remain faithful till the end. Alright? How to remain faithful till the end. Every time you set your intentions. Right now, I'm going to be speaking from my experience. Alright? Now, in life, there's always a beginning, a middle, and the end. Alright, there's always the beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay? The same thing with when you're setting your intentions in order to create and materialize your every desire. Right? There's the beginning, there's the middle, and there's the end. Alright, now in the beginning, you find out that desire that you want, whatever it is, you name it, you set the intentions, whether through affirmations or imaginal acts. Alright? And after you've done that, then you have the middle. Now the middle is where, according to Neville Goddard, is when the bridge of incidents start to happen. You know, when things start to move around in the 3D reality in order to get you to the end. Right? Now when it comes to the middle, that's where a lot of people tend to want to give up or start to have doubts and fears. And there's nothing wrong with it because we had years of our mind being, of subconscious mind being programmed the total opposite, through fear and doubts and those kind of stuff. But now that we know the law and we know how powerful we are, that we can create our every desire easily and effortlessly, it's going to take time to reprogram the subconscious mind. Alright, but from my experience again, the main key in how to remain faithful straight to the end, right, is through repetition. Right? Through repetition. I remember there's a quote by Muhammad Ali, because he was big on visualizations as well and affirmations, right? That was a part of it that actually helped him to be so great in the ring, and also outside of the ring. His quote said, "It's the repetition of affirmations that lead to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen." It's the repetition of affirmations that lead to belief, right? So once you can repeat it and you get to that belief, you're on your way. And when that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. So it's like the more you do it, it leads to a belief, and then that belief eventually becomes like a knowing. You're deeply convinced. And then things start to happen. Right? So that is how you remain faithful to the end, through repetition. So let's say your desire is $50,000 right now, right? You set that intention through affirmations or imaginal acts, whatever works for you, or scripting or whatever, right? After you've done that, right, and you implement feeling into it, right? You should get this feeling like it's already done. You should have a feeling of relief, of calmness as soon as you finish that interval, that affirmations or imaginal acts, whatever the case may be. You should feel a feeling of peace, of relief. Yeah, I already have this thing. Now after that, in the middle, like anything can happen, like throughout the day, or whenever, negative thoughts could come back. Something could happen that could trigger you to go back to those negative thinking, right? No, some people tend to dwell on them. You don't dwell there. That's not your dwelling place. When those negative thoughts and emotions arise, you go back. You go back to your main dwelling place now that you already have this $50,000. So you will repeat the affirmations that you were using before, or the imaginal acts, right? To get you back into that state. Because you want to remain there. You want to stay focused on there. Now I'm not saying there's going to be times where you might want to take a break or whatever the case might be, but always be aware of your thoughts and your emotions pertaining to that goal. I'm not saying you have to walk around gritting your teeth 24/7 or be happy and cheerful 24/7. Your main key is to be at peace and calm, to be in neutral of the situation. So it's through repetition. That's how it works. So when you set that intention, there's the middle, you just be aware. You understand? Of your thoughts and emotions pertaining to that goal. Right? And every time you feel a negative, or the opposition appearing, you go back to that affirmation and that imaginal act. Right? And you do it over and over again until you feel satisfied again, and then you go about your way. If it happens, you go back to it again. You see? It's a 24/7 job, Be sober, be vigilant, Because the devil, which is your negative thinking, roams like a lion seeking whom he may devour. It's your own negative thinking that's the devil. So you want to remain in that state of already having your desire. And to do that is through repetition. And there's no excuses. The time you take to go on Facebook or Instagram or whatever to scroll through feeds and stuff like that, you could be working, you could be imagining, and speaking positively. That is how you remain faithful to the end. No matter how long it takes. Days, weeks, months, maybe a year or two. You remain faithful through repetition. Right? And persistence. I remember I was reading the book Think and Grow Rich. Not everything I agree with 100%, but majority of it I agree with. And they say persistence is key. That's the main thing that they mention. Persistence. There was this guy who went to dig for gold. Right? He bought the machinery and everything. And the moment he was digging, he was persistent in it, but he gave up. When he gave up, he was actually 3 feet away from the gold. He said he gave up. So he sold not sold it, but he gave away the machinery to, I think, a homeless man or something like that. And then the homeless man went digging for it, and he ended up getting the gold. So you see, persistence is key. You don't stop until you get it if you truly desire it. Then there was another chapter where it talked about this little girl who came to her uncle because her mother wanted 50 cents. She stood there by the doorway, and the uncle told her no, he doesn't have it, to move from there. The girl was so spiteful and so determined and so persistent. She stood there until she got that 50 cents. At one point, the uncle got so mad, he rushed towards her with a piece of steel as though he was going to beat her. But the girl just stand up there and just look at him and said she's not moving until she gets the 50 cents. He went into his pocket and he gave her the 50 cents. She backed off slowly and then she went on her way. And that left him puzzled, like, how can he be conquered by a little child? You see, even as kids, like, our imagination, when we were kids, like, we were fearless to a sense. And our imagination, like, was just running wild. We didn't really have time for no doubts or nothing like that. So we got to get back there to that child state, that mentality, you know what I mean? Not being immature, but not taking life too serious and living more in our imagination. Right? Sometimes we get so busy focusing on the physical that we forget to work on the spiritual. And the working on the spiritual is very, very important. Alright? So that is how you remain faithful to the end. Through repetition. Alright? Through repetition. So every time you feel that negative thought and feelings are rising, don't dwell on it, because that's not your dwelling place. Your dwelling place is the desire that you want to materialize. So you go back to it and you imagine it and you affirm it until you feel that feeling of calmness and relief again. Alright? And you do this every single day. And then it becomes so normal. From my experiences, like, you already have this thing. Even though it hasn't appeared yet, even though it might take months or maybe a year or two, you feel confident knowing that the seed that you planted has been planted successfully. Or if in that space of time that you're waiting, you also tend to see signs because your most dominant thoughts are reflected back to you. So even though you may not have it in the physical 3D reality as yet, let's say you're manifesting a specific person, you might start to see their names pop up certain places, you know what I mean? You might start to see couples, relationships 24/7. Stuff like that. You might hear songs that remind you of the person, something. It's going to be reflected back to you. Right? So the main key to remain faithful is through repetition, and persistence. Alright? So I just wanted to share these brief words with you today. Alright? How to remain faithful to the end. Okay, so continue to have a great, fantastic, amazing day. I am Be Floss to God, sending you love, peace, joy, prosperity, and blessings. And I'm out.